Today we have a new build, a fresh build. This bike originally came to me as an e-bike, but it was pretty tired. It needed a lot of love, and the drive system just wasn't able to get it up the hills that the customer was using it for or wanted to use it for. So this bike came with a hub motor on the front wheel, and it also had a rack battery in the back here. There's two problems with this setup. Number one is that having a direct drive hub motor on the front wheel means it almost has zero chance of climbing any decent hill or really anything apart from a slope, especially within the legal limits here in Australia. It also had this rack battery on the back. If you rode the bike around, you would really feel the weight of that battery pulling diagonally across the bike through corners. And having the weight up this high just makes it feel less stable and a bit less of a confident ride. This bike came with a few issues. Firstly, the display was broken. Secondly, there was a lot of corrosion around the battery terminals, which I actually found quite dangerous because it caused a lot of resistance and melted the plastic around the battery. So it's pretty sketchy. So the battery was out, the original battery was out, and the front motor just wasn't going to cut it for what the customer was needing. So I started by finding some replacement forks. This customer's riding on smooth road. There's no real need for a suspension fork. It originally came with these skinny kind of 1.7-inch tires. So I replaced them with some 2.1-inch small block tires just to soak up any small bumps on the road and make the bike just feel a bit more stable. And again, trying to build the confidence in this ride. This bike was for an older rider, so adding little things just to make the bike feel much safer and feel like they have much more control was super important with this build. What I loved about this bike was the fact that it has a Nexus 3-speed drivetrain. So it just has this single chain line and an internally geared hub, a 3-speed internally geared hub. These hubs are notoriously strong and reliable, and so I had no issue about putting a motor in this drivetrain. It will actually be a really solid drivetrain that will last a long time with very little maintenance, so it's perfect. Another very big upside of this drivetrain is that you can shift gears at a stop, so you don't have to be riding and pedaling for the derailleur to move up and down the cassette. You can just turn the twist grip if you forget to change gears. For example, if you ride up to the base of a big hill and you forget to change back into the lowest gear for climbing, you're not stuck there. You can just use the twist grip, put it back into first, go up the hill. No problem. Speaking of hills, there are some big hills where the customer is needing to use the bike. So this bike needs to be able to do a lot of work because the customer's a bit older and basically just wants to enjoy cruising around on a bike, getting some fresh air without any pain or discomfort. So that was the goal with this build. A step-through frame is perfect for this. It's really easy to get on and off the bike. Again, super safe, especially if you're not confident swinging your leg up over a bike. So when I stripped the bike down, I didn't keep any of the original components. The only thing that is actually original on this bike is the frame and the back wheel and the gear shifting system. That's it. Everything else has been replaced. I started with a Bafang BBS02 motor. It's a 500 watt motor and it comes with a 36 volt 14 amp hour battery. So in the real world, this should do about 30 to 45 kilometers of range. The motor does sit a little low down here, but there's still plenty of clearance for most obstacles. It's just something they're gonna have to be aware of. Unfortunately, because of how the frame is designed, there's no other option. Unless I went for a hub motor, but if I went for a hub motor, I would need a much more powerful motor to climb the hills that this bike needs to climb. Whereas this, I can use a smaller motor and then use the mechanical advantage of the gears in the back to climb hills. Also means we can have a smaller battery. Another thing I did was relocated the battery. So I took the battery out of the rack here and then I mounted a new battery here on the down tube. This just brings the weight of the battery down lower and close to the center of the bike. So it feels a lot more balanced and a lot more of a stable ride. It keeps it also very out of the way, and there's a second battery indicator on top of the battery, which the customer can use just to double check if they ever want, but it's nice and easy to reach, which I like. The electronics from this bike have been reused from another build. So these were on an existing bike. I pulled them off and put them on this one. So they're not brand new, but again, the upside of this is all these parts are serviceable and replaceable. So if anything does go wrong, we can just replace the part and get them back out on the road. This one has a big color display and a little dial pad here so that the customer can easily turn on lights, adjust the power assist levels. The reason for a big display, again, is just because of visibility. Considering the age of the customer, they just wanted to be able to see the display nice and easily. I really like the nice, neat little small displays that I've been using, but they're not for everyone, and I think this works best for the customer. Another thing I've done is added a stem extender on here just to lift the height of the handlebars, and also turned it around backwards just so the customer could sit more upright on the bike. They wanted to be really comfortable when they were riding around. I think this bike is awesome. I've had some big rides on this, just testing it out and getting it all set up properly. And it's just a really comfortable, nice ride. For not much difference in price to an off-the-shelf e-bike, but often much better quality and the ability to replace and repair parts without depending on a single manufacturer, which gives this bike a good lifespan. Thanks for watching this video. I am gonna keep building more bikes now, and so I'm gonna go do that. I'll see you in the next one.